Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, February 9th, 2026 meeting of the Community Police Review Commission. The meeting is now called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Sample? Present. Commissioner Johnson?
Present.
Commissioner Coleman is absent. Commissioner Corbs?
Here.
Commissioner Griggs?
Here.
Commissioner Lewis?
Present.
Commissioner Janulius?
Present.
Commissioner Brookins is absent. Commissioner Espinoza Salazar?
Present.
And Vice Chair, Vice Chair Buenrostro.
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you. I would like to remind members of the public in the chambers today that if you would like to speak on an agenda item, please turn in a speaker slip before the item begins. After the item is called, we will no longer accept the speaker slips. You will have 2 minutes to speak once you are called on. And just to let folks know, on the agenda, we have public comments, items not on the agenda at the end of the meeting. We're going to keep moving that item to the beginning of the meeting to let folks in the public speak. So we will now proceed to today's agenda. And we'll first start with a land acknowledgement and pledge of allegiance, starting with a land acknowledgement. Please rise, if you are able, for the opening acknowledgement in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people in tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, Valley, and Plains Miwok, Patwin Wintan peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather together today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's history, contributions, and lives. Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. For the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody, and I just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. Before we start with public comments, I just want to briefly share a note from Chair Carter Martinez. She called me earlier today to let you know that she is stepping down from the commission, but she'll be reaching out to us later on in the week with more, just with a note of appreciation, so you can hear from her as well. But I just want to just say that we appreciate her service to this commission over the past year, over longer than just a year that she's been on the commission. And we wish her well in her endeavors as she pursues other things that have been taking her time this year, which are good things. We all have many active lives outside of the commission, as you all know. So we choose, you know, I feel like every year we choose where we want to spend our time, where we want to focus our efforts, and I think she's making a choice to focus efforts on things that are very, very valuable to the community as well. So we appreciate her for her commitment before that. Okay, we will first start with public comments, matters not on the agenda. As I previously mentioned, this is agendized at the end of the meeting, but following our past practice, we're moving this to the beginning of the meeting to give the public an opportunity to participate. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on public comments, matters not on the agenda?
Thank you, Chair. I have no speaker slips for matters not on the agenda.
Okay. Well, given that, next is approval of the consent calendar. The consent calendar includes 2 items. This is item 1, approval of the Sacramento Community Police Review Commission meeting minutes, and item 2, Office of Public Safety and Accountability quarterly report for Q2 of 2025. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on the consent calendar?
Thank you, Chair. I have no speaker slips for the consent calendar.
Thank you. Are there any commissioners who wish to speak on this item? Okay, that was a good amount of think time. So with that, is there a motion and a second for the consent calendar?
I'll move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Great. I have a motion from Commissioner Sample and a second from Commissioner Johnson. We will vote via voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes, and it seems to be unanimous. I didn't hear any opposition. And just to let folks know, this is a new way that we're going to be voting. So I know this is new for us. Usually we do a roll call, but when items like this happen on the agenda and we think it's going to be near unanimous, we're going to do a voice vote, and I think that's going to help us move a little faster for folks. Okay. We will now proceed to the discussion calendar. And we're going to start with item number 3. This is an ad hoc committee report back. This is based, again, for folks on our 2025 work plan. And as you remember, last year we decided to create 3 ad hoc committees, which include the Engagement and Function Committee, the Policing and Response Efficiency Committee, and lastly, the Resource Allocation and Efficiency at Impacting Public Safety Committee. Do we have any updates from the first committee, the Engagement and Function Committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No updates in that we didn't have a meeting other than I think our ad hoc committee still want to impress that we want to do those trainings. We want to go ahead and get those scheduled as part of our work this year moving forward. And if I am representing the rest of our members correctly, we also think that this is a great ad hoc to continue into the new work plan cycle. So,
Thank you. Do we have an update from the Policing and Response Efficiency Committee?
No, nothing to report. However, we have not met this year, but our goal was to focus on traffic safety before we get too far into the MEU preparation once that timeline is sorted out.
Thank you, Commissioner Lewis. And lastly, there's no update from the Resource Allocation and Efficiency at Impacting Public Safety Committee. Although I do say that if we continue that committee, maybe we want to reduce the name a little bit so that it's easier to say. It's a lot of words, but very significant. Okay. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Thank you, Chair. I have no speaker slips on this item.
Okay. Do we have any commissioner comments on the updates? Okay, great. I'm going to give, so just to be transparent, I'm going to count to 10 every time I ask a question, and then I'll give think time, just to make sure that folks have enough time to think and react if they want to have a question or comment. Okay, this item was to discuss the progress and receive comments, so no vote is required. Given that, we're going to move on to the next item. So the next item is item number 4. Which is discuss draft orientation and ongoing training outline for the Sacramento Community Police Review Commission. And for this item, the recommendation that we're going to be considering is to, number 1, discuss a draft outline of possible orientation and ongoing training and development to serve as a commissioner. And two, if we choose to do this, pass a motion approving the Sacramento Community Police Review Commission orientation and training outline, and forwarding the outline as a recommendation to be added to the Commission's 2025 annual report. So as you review the agenda packet, you should all have a copy of the Sacramento Community Police Review Commission orientation and training outline. It was there as an attachment to the agenda item. And before we take comment from the public and then go into commissioner comments, I just want to walk you through what's in the proposal and break down a little bit of what is being proposed there. The first thing that I just want to highlight is that the proposal in the agenda item includes breaking down the orientation into five modules. These include module number 1, which is focused on understanding the role of a police review commission and as a commissioner. The next module is module number 2, Introduction to the Sacramento Community Police Department and City Government. Next is module number 3, Police Practices and Procedures. Module number 4 is focused on crime and violence reduction strategies. And lastly, module number 5 is focused on community relations and public engagement. One thing that I just want to highlight from the draft is that it does state that these modules are meant to be delivered by the chair and vice chair. But in practice, I think the way it's going to work is that it's going to be more like coordinated by the chair and vice chair and any other commissioners that wish to participate. As you see, a lot of these topics, we probably would need to get input from the Sacramento Police Department, input from the city staff, and also collaborate with folks to figure out which are the best speakers for these items. So in practice, that's probably going to be how that works, since I'm sure the chair and vice chair, whoever they might be for this coming year, they have a lot of experience, expertise, but they might not be experts on every item that we have here. And then another thing to note for consideration in this proposal is that these trainings are likely going to be offered after work hours or on weekends, with each session lasting no more than 2 hours. So this hopefully helps with accessibility for folks. The only exceptions might be if you choose to do something like a police ride-along or do an activity like participate in a community academy, that's going to take a little bit more than 2 hours for folks. As you can see too, the phased-in approach is based on separating the trainings into 5 modules so that you can process information and reflect on it. We also have a goal within the proposal to make the learning interactive, which means that as much practice as we can learn from and see as commissioners, we want to make sure that we encourage that. Again, that could include doing a police ride-along, participating in other public forums. We want to make sure that it's real-world and practical. And then lastly, this is our first proposal for this, so I appreciate the ad hoc committee that worked on this. Thank you, Commissioner Sample, for your feedback on this as well. So this is a starting point by which we can continue to build and refine it in future years. And then lastly, and this probably is going to be something that we want to clarify in the discussion for this item, is how we can do this without violating the Brown Act, or let me reframe that, how we can do this in a way that is in compliance with the Brown Act, so that we do this well. So my understanding of this is that if we all participate at the same time, what that means is that would need to be an agendized public item, because we would be altogether meeting quorum. If we choose to do this in a way where we separate us into different cohorts, for example, then without having a maximum quorum, then we might be able to do this without having it to be agendized. So it's something for us to think about and consider and also clarify in the discussion. So with that, I'm going to ask the clerk if there are any members of the public who wish to speak on this item.
Thank you, Chair. I have one speaker slip, Keon Bliss.
See you again in this new year. I am glad to see that there is progress being made around formalizing ongoing training. This has been something that this commission and commissioners past and present have been advocating for and trying to get standardized for many years. A lot of that hasn't been the fault of this commission, but really just the lack of staff support, which still seems to be an issue going forward. But just a couple of comments to when we're talking about this, and a reminder of how this body is intended to be representative of the diversity of voices from from Sacramento's community members, and really making sure that we honor that by maintaining a certain level of not just deference in terms of respect for the Brown Act and City Sunshine Ordinance, but also a measure of independence from the police department, especially given the current climate that we find ourselves in here in this political moment. And with that said, I would like to encourage honest deliberation and thought around community-based organizations that are involved in civil rights and civilian oversight bodies like the National Association of Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement, or NACOL. Several years ago, there were resources that were actually shared with us from the Office of Public Safety Accountability that could be used to standardize part of this training. And I would also encourage you all to look and approach the American Civil Liberties Union to talk through civil rights policy and civilian oversight models. There's a wide variety that are practiced across the United States and in
For
California.
your comments, your time is complete. Chair, I have no more speakers on this item.
Thank you for the public comment. Thank you for the public comment. Do we have any commissioners who wish to speak on this item? Commissioner Corbs?
Thank you. So I know that we have spent a great deal of time in the past meetings talking about this. And I thought the last time we met, we talked about doing little short snippets during our meetings. And then I just heard you say like 2 hours on a weekend, and I'm like, did that change? I'm not sure. Do you know? Did
So-
anybody put that information in there?
So just to kind of maybe capture what our ad hoc had shared is at the last meeting, we said that we could create study sessions as part of our business here, and we would be willing to extend our time to ensure that we collectively as a group went through the modules.
And I believe that the city attorney, because there was one meeting when you weren't here, and then the meeting that you were here, because at one time someone said that we possibly couldn't do it during a meeting, and then you informed us that we could do it during a meeting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's wonderful. So, and the only reason, Vice Chair, is that we already have our monthly meetings, and then we have our ad hoc meetings, which is another hour per month, potentially, and then to do another training for a couple of hours, I just think that's a large commitment. Unless if other people vote to say that that's how they'd like to do it, then that's fine, but I was just thinking that, I thought that the consensus was that we were going to try to incorporate during these meetings, and I don't think we could do that for 2 hours.
Yeah, so I do remember that discussion, and I agree. I think we did say that
Okay.
it's a preference to do it after
Okay.
commission meetings. I was just going over what's in the proposal
Well,
that I have
that's
in
why
front
I
of me.
didn't know where
Yeah.
that 2 hours and on a weekend came from.
Yeah. But I think, if the commissioners prefer that, I think we'd be happy to just update the language here, if we want to clarify that. Having said that, it says offered after work hours, so maybe we strike weekends and after work hours.
During
We
a
can take the
commission meeting?
guidance, meaning that we prefer to do it after a commission meeting.
And then for Captain Buchanan and Blake, is that, I just want to confirm, is that something that you guys would be willing to do during a commission meeting, to do these little snippets of onboarding and training education for us? Or is that not, because it sounds like we're going to have speakers from the police department come and do the training.
Yeah, I thought we discussed doing half the group before and half the group after.
But then we were told we could all meet at the same time.
But it'd have to be agendized, right? And then on the agenda, and then, so that's the only difference.
I believe so.
That, yeah, we could talk about that, discuss that, but I think the last thing we agreed upon was like before and after.
And what would be the difference of doing it before or after instead of just doing it all together?
Yeah, well, I think it's, you got to follow the council rules too, so the questioning and all that's going to be all open and recorded for everyone. So I don't mind doing that, but I just thought we were going to have more of an open conversation when we did this training, so that was my understanding. But I don't mind doing it during the meetings either, so either way it's good with us probably. So I just got to find out the staff time for it.
Commissioner Johnson?
It was my understanding that we were going to do it on the same day as we have our commission meetings, if it's before commission meetings or a group afterwards. But it looks sometimes where the quorum is that, like size today, we could probably hit it all at one time, during the meeting, after a meeting, and knock it out. And then I also was considered and concerned with the ad hocs, because the ad hocs are doing so much to put their time in to take care of what their job is to do, and their to work on their committees. Then it's going to leave just enough time to cover on this training and devote our time to the training to do it. But I think it's a good idea that we're attacking it this way and doing it this way, because it kind of brings a good order to what we're doing, and it gives us kind of a good area to kind of like play off on each other and to know which ideas are coming from, as put down on paper.
Just to clarify, I didn't draft this, so I'm going to try to guess what the intention was. I think the weekend language that was added here is based on the fact that some of the training, if you choose to do it, for example, let's say you do a ride-along or you attend an academy, that might happen on the weekend. So that's to give flexibility. And the other thing I'll say is that this is a proposal, but it also doesn't mean that we can't take direction from this commission and make sure that we schedule something that works for the commissioners. Commissioner Corpse.
And I believe, and I don't know, Captain Buchanan, have they already come up with, isn't there a community day at the academy? You
Yeah,
shared that last year with us?
Yeah, the Citizens Academy Day, which is, we hold twice a year if we get participants. I think the last one was canceled due to lack of participation from the
Okay.
community, so.
So when those dates are scheduled, that would be another option for going out and learning about the police department?
Yes.
When do they usually have those dates set?
Let me look and get back to you, because I'm not sure. I thought the last one was September that got canceled, but I'm not positive, so
Okay.
let me take a look.
Thank you.
Captain Buchanan, thank you. Do you folks use a online training system? Officers would be allowed to do some of their post-training online? I'm sorry, I've been away from the department for a while, so I've forgotten the name of it. It was something learning or learning something.
Yeah, there is the post-learning portal that you're referring to where we do some training, but most of our training for our officers are done with our advanced officer training team for the officers that are already out in the field. And then we do CPT, continued professional training, which is 40 hours annually that all officers go through. I just sat through the manager's course on it last week. So to go over the topics they're going to learn during that.
And a certain amount of that training can be online.
It is, but normally we don't. People do go get training online through the post portal, but I don't know the accessibility to people that are with our department or post certified.
Okay. The reason I ask is we also have something, the police department, fire department have something, it's like NetFile you log on, do your training, and you get your continuing education. Is there any reason why we couldn't use that type of format for some of the training that we'll be allowed to do? It would also cut down on the amount of time that the police department would be involved, since they have a manpower shortage quite often. And it would, just by doing this online, then they wouldn't have to spend their time on their evening off for overtime to come out here and train us for an hour or 2 hours or however much longer it's going to be. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, I think the one we have now is only if you're post-certified with the department, that you could get on that learning portal. We don't have an internal portal like you're talking about, so I don't know. We have well, we use is the city tracking system, which is Acumen, but we don't have like a portal to go watch videos and do training that way. We don't have that, but I mean, I think videos are not a bad idea, but they take more staff time than bringing someone in here, to be honest with you, to train you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I did want to bring up the question again about the preference of this commission, if we want to do it together, which means that it's going to be an agendized item, or I think we had discussed before the end of last year, the option to also break it up, to have half of the commission attend a module one day, the other commission attending the same module another day. So just want to affirm if that's still the case with our city attorney, and if also want to get feedback from this commission about the preference. Do we want to split it up, or do we prefer just doing it all together, which means that it's a public meeting as well? I have two speakers, Commissioner Lewis and then Commissioner Corpse, and then third, Commissioner Griggs.
I actually like the idea of it being agendized, and it's something that we all do together. I think that there's an opportunity for learning when we're all together in all of our various viewpoints, as well as for the public to see, this is what we do, this is how we're training, this is what we're about. It's not just a random meeting on Mondays at City Hall. There is, purpose for this commission, and that we are serious about what we're doing. So I am definitely in favor of just making it agendized and it being here all together.
Captain Buchanan, I just want to confirm, sorry again if I'm not quite understanding this, you will be okay, and the police department would be okay if we did our training, everybody present, discussion, it would be a discussion item, and doing it that way. Are you okay with doing it that way? Or would you prefer for it to be?
I need to know I think I need to answer that question appropriately. I need to know a couple things. How often are we talking about? Are we talking about quarterly? Are we talking about once every time you guys meet?
No, I think we decided on quarterly.
Yeah, quarter, and that'd be a decision I would have to run by the chief to make sure she's good with that. But yes, that's what I can do to move forward and report back to you guys.
Okay, so can we have those answers by next meeting then?
Yes, absolutely.
I feel like we've been going on and on and on about this training, and we kind of would like to get moving forward with it. So
Yeah,
we can,
absolutely.
if we could have an answer next meeting, and whether it's doing it all as one or separating us, then in March, we can decide what topic we're going to go for.
Yeah, I think that'd be very helpful tonight, if we could figure that out, what topics that we're going to shoot for this year, so that I could plan out staff time for it.
And I think we had talked about inevitably getting to all these modules, and then if we do one a quarter, that potentially means that we would get 4 in a year, then we would go to the 5th topic the first quarter of next year, and then we would just continue to do them based on new commissioners joining. And if you've already done the training, you can come and be here for it, or you don't have to be here for it. But if it's an agendized item, you'd have to, right? I get that. So it'd be repetitive, but.
Commissioner Sample?
Yes, thank you. For me, I think, just looking at our modules, Module 1 is understanding the role of a police review commission. I feel like March, we could do that, and that could be led by our city attorney's office. That one is, as I look at it, that feels like that's fairly easy, which means that by the next quarter, we're able to move to introduction of Sacramento Police Department and city government, police practices and procedures. So it gives the department a few months before we even hit that, but I think it allows us to get started with this sooner than later, so that we're not kind of kicking the can down the road, but we're able to at least start with that foundational, understanding the role of a police review commission. And then I do see,
Before you continue, bad news.
oh, see, here it is, here it is.
Bad news.
I knew it was gonna come out what I can do, all right.
So my office is going to collaborate with the clerk's office for new commissioners when they do their onboarding meeting, or I forget how you guys are doing it, but we're going to create a package that will be a part of the clerk's introductory package to new members. And for current members, we're going to submit in writing so that you have it memorialized, you can refresh your memory and look back at it. So we won't be providing an oral presentation, but if you did want to review one, I mean, Susanna did one a few years ago that's still applicable, and it can be played here if you all want to listen to it together, but that's the direction from my office. We won't be providing an oral presentation.
Commissioner Johnson?
So we're saying that we cannot get this going in March by deciding on a proposal and getting it going in March, because if we go in and put fast, going up, hitting that summer break, and then we're going to just lose, months here in time. We'll be in next February this time, Module 3. And we need to really kind of get it along. If we're really going to do it, let's just do it. Pick a easy module, whatever we need to do to get past it, and just go ahead and get it done, at least get a start.
Commissioner Griggs?
I just wanted to ask, since we're doing these in modules, and say we're missing a person. Get a new person next month, or in April, and we've already done a module in March. Is it possible, is it going to be possible to archive these modules and allow that person that comes on to watch that and then be trained by that video, rather than having to wait or to burden the police department with having to give that module again?
We have it agendized.
Well, our meetings are
Yeah.
recorded, so they'd be able to
we
go
can-
back and just watch. If it's going to be an agendized item. If it's not agendized and we're going to split us up, then it's not going to be part of the meeting and not recorded.
And I think it's important that it's recorded for the new people coming on.
So we're going to wait to hear from Captain Buchanan if we're going to be able to do that in March. And then we'll just say that
I
April,
think we're saying that March was going to be the module 1, which we don't need.
but the module 1 is only, it's not going to be an oral presentation. It was just going to be a written. She just said that they're not going to do an oral, that she has something in writing.
But I thought you said we could watch something?
Yes, so the previous city attorney, she made a oral presentation to pass commission. So that is accessible, it's online. I think it's from 2024. Yeah, you can. I mean, I guess it would just be technologically how to do that. But I thought your module 1 was also more than the legal aspects. There were some other things there in your module 1.
That's right. Commissioner Sample?
Yes, I mean, when I look at Module 1, it's the legal authority and responsibilities, ethics and professional standards, effective communication and collaboration. I don't know, part of me would say that if our city attorney can't deliver this, then do we look at one of the groups like the National Association for Civilian Oversight? Because I think that everything that's in this first module is foundational to our work. And if we, I hate to say it, if we can't get that right, then the rest of this just becomes a moot point.
And I hear some support for that. One thing that I'll say about this plan is that it reads to me as an outline of what we can do in trainings. I'm also assuming, and I think this is what I'm hearing too, that it's not all gonna be on city staff. It's not all gonna be on the Sacramento Police Department. There's some sections that they might be more appropriate for this. But it could also involve bringing in nonprofits, community-based organizations, other groups, research groups that might have expertise on some of these topics. And my assumption from looking at the plan is that whoever is the chair or vice chair will be tasked with figuring out the details and putting this together alongside city staff and our partners. Setting up the speaker, setting up who's going to speak on what topic, what is that going to look like, is that a PowerPoint, is that a video? So there's still a little bit of work to do, and I would say leaving it to a little bit to the flexibility of the new chair and vice chair, whoever that may be, is probably the right thing, and which other commissioners are also interested in engaging and planning for this, right? This could also be a new ad hoc, or it could continue to be part of a current ad hoc committee. So there's still a lot of details that we want to figure out. But having said that, this discussion is helpful because we're getting some ideas or some ideas from commissioners about what they would like to see in the training. Commissioner Griggs?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh. Okay, any other questions, comments on this item? Commissioner Sample.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So looking at then the motion, it would be that without given a timeline, we would be passing a motion to basically say that we're okay with this being our orientation and training outline, and then to forward the outline as a recommendation to be added to our annual work, our annual report. So it really is not saying that we're saying by this day we want this, by this day we want this, but what we're voting on is to say we're okay with these topics, and we're going to, and I'll craft a motion if that's the case, and we're going to refer to the chair and vice chair to work with staff to timeline this out, something to that effect?
That's my assumption. It's not said, but I would assume that with anything that we pass in this body, it's, it gets up to the chair and vice chair to figure out the details of things that need to be figured out. So not seeing any other comments, questions. Yeah.
Jacob Bradberg from the City Clerk's Office. So this is going to be, the way it was agendized is that the recommendation is to add to the 2025 annual report, which has not yet been approved by this body?
That is correct.
Okay, so that annual report with the training outline is it would go to Personnel and Public Employees, the Personnel and Public Employees Committee, the Standing Committee of the City Council, and would then be reviewed by them. So this is essentially a proposal for your work plan that still has to go through the Personnel and Public Employees Committee.
Does that mean that we can't start working on this until that gets passed by that committee and by the council?
I would say that the Personnel and Public Employees Committee may want to review the ask of city staff for the trainings and time, and may have input on that.
And I would assume that doesn't change if we don't add it to the annual report anyways, because it's still something that we need to figure out with city staff about their time. Is that a correct assumption?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
And Chair, could I just bring up one thing? If you look in your training outline under Module 2, it refers to ACM Lara, who's no longer with the city, so just might want to make that correction before we move forward.
Yeah, I would actually welcome a motion that strikes down, well, not strike, that sounds, that strikes any language that has specific names of staff. And I would say just keep it to titles. That way, this document, we can clean that up pretty quickly after it gets passed. Okay. Seeing no other comments, questions from commissioners, do we have a motion? Commissioner Sample.
All right, so I'll try to get the motion correctly. So basically, we're going to ask to get permission to be able to add this to our work plan to do, correct?
The way the recommendation is, reads to me is that, yes, this body approve the draft orientation and training outline to add to the 2025 annual report, which has not yet been adopted by this body.
So then, therefore, my motion is to approve the orientation and training outline with the removal of any specific names and only titles of individuals, and forward the outline as a recommendation to our 2025 annual report yet to be created or submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Sample, a second by Commissioner Lewis. And let me see if I can summarize that motion again. The motion, to my understanding, is approving the orientation and training outline and forwarding this approved outline to be added to the Commission's 2025 annual report. With the removal of any specific names and keeping just titles. Okay, I think we can vote on that. We're going to do a voice vote for this one as well. Is that appropriate for this one?
Yes, it would.
Okay, great. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Hearing no opposition or abstentions, this motion passes by unanimous consent.
Chair, could I ask a question? Maybe this is more for the city clerk here. Looking at your thing to make some progress, I wouldn't mind doing a presentation on Module 2, the Department History and Mission and Organizational Structure for you guys next meeting. I don't know if we could do that by pulling that off. I just present on something, Jacob. I don't know if the answer to that.
Well, if it's under the purview of the commission, under the city code, then that is something that you can bring forward to the commission without having to go to PNPE to make sure it's on a work plan or anything like that.
Okay, maybe I'll get offline with the city attorney and make sure that we're legit on doing that. Because I think to move forward to help you guys with progress, because I know it's frustrating, is that we get a couple of things maybe knocked out in the meantime.
Really appreciate that. And I think that goes to a lot of the topics that we have here, where if the chair and vice chair want to agendize something or the commissioners want to bring it up, that's something that can still be done as long as it's within the current work plan, which I think a lot of these topics about training might still be within the current work plan. Okay, next item is item number 6. This is the Sacramento Community Police Review Commission follow-up log. The recommendation coming from this item is to review, discuss, and pass a motion approving the follow-up log.
Chair, it looks like
Did we
we
miss
skipped
something?
number 5.
I was just testing you to see if you were paying attention. Great. Everybody's paying attention. That's awesome. Okay, my apologies. The next item is item number 5, which is the City of Sacramento Community Police Review Commission 2026 Work Plan. The recommendation for this item is to, number one, review and provide direction on the 2026 proposed work plan, which is in this agenda item as attachment 2, and to also pass a motion approving the proposed work plan, authorizing the chair and vice chair to finalize the work plan and forwarding the finalized proposed work plan to the Personnel and Public Employees, otherwise known as PNPE Committee, for consideration of forwarding to the council pursuant to City Council Rules and Procedures, Chapter 17, Section C. As you can see on this agenda item, the proposed work plan for 2026 that we have in front of us is still light on details, but it has, I think, a good outline for the chair and vice chair to work on a little bit. A few things to highlight here. It has a few dates for the commission. For example, it starts with election of a chair and vice chair, which we will be doing at the end of this meeting. It has a focus on centering on community outreach and having the community know us and what we do as a commission. It has outlined a listening session in July. It has outlined as a priority partnering with the Sacramento City Council on our activities. It also has language on visibility, making sure that we have community events, have booths. We participate in concerts in the park and other events that our council members or the city might be putting on. That also includes attending clergy meetings, city council office meetings, et cetera. It has continuing to work on ad hoc committees to do outreach on events. And then also outlining monthly reports from the police department, which I'm assuming it's something that we would be working with the department on as the details get filled in for this work plan. So that's what we have in front of us. Before we move on to further commission conversation, are there any public comments on this item?
Thank you, Chair. I have one speaker slip on this item. Keon Bliss.
Commission, recognizing that this is the difficult challenge when it comes to serving on an oversight body, city commission, with very little staff support. I don't blame you in having taking so long within that. I think that's okay to come through and how you formulate things. One of the things I heard from the previous ad hoc bodies, though, that I want to encourage folks to continue on is if there is still ongoing work that folks think is still relevant, important, and wasn't able to get to, you can continue those on in different formats and different names of things. In order to continue the work. That's what previous commissions have done within our ad hoc committees, and I think one area in which, particularly in resource allocation as well as traffic safety, are particularly prevalent, especially considering that recent studies around traffic enforcement in Sacramento are due to come out. One in which, being another in a long line of traffic studies that have shown that Sacramento police traffic stops are overwhelmingly targeting black and brown residents, but recent analysis of RIPID data of more than 46,000 stops is showing that not only is racial profiling under the guise of pretextual stops still continuing, but a lot of it is for equipment or non-moving violations that have nothing to do with safety, and oftentimes result to little to no tickets or enforcement, which is a lot of resources put towards something that community is still struggling with, and continuing to contribute and deteriorate the trust between community members and law enforcement.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Chair, I have no more speakers.
Item. I see Commissioner Lewis, followed by Commissioner Corbs.
Just have a question because I wasn't here on the commission for the formulation of last year's work plan. So I see our list here. How does this get fleshed out? Because I remember when I got the work plan for last year, it was, a nice little package and everything was written out. How does this get fleshed out? Is that committee work or is that something that we do here in this body? But how do these ideas or suggestions, how do they get fleshed out into the actual work plan?
The way I read the recommended motion is that it would be the chair and vice chair that would flush out the details.
Okay.
Having said that, I would say any commissioners that want to participate in the conversation should also let the chair and vice chair know so that they can be included in the conversation. Commissioner Corbs?
Hopefully that's on, okay. I had a similar question. It's like, there's a lot of stuff on here. It would be nice if we can narrow it down to however many, 3, 4, 5, instead of trying to do all these things. I mean, I'm just thinking of stuff like community outreach and having the community know us and what we do. I love that. I would love to be able to engage the community. But how do we do that? We have this meeting. I would love to have the community come and meet us here. How do we do that? We're here every single month. We hardly ever have speakers. So thank you to Keon who comes and speaks. I mean, it's like, we don't ever have speakers. So I'd love to get them to come. I don't know how we do that. Listening sessions, I guess we can go out into the community. Community booths, concert in the park, we don't even have like a tablecloth that says police commission. You know what I mean? Like, how would we even, we don't have t-shirts, how would we let people know who we are? Except for saying who we are. Ad hoc committees, we're gonna be talking about doing those. I was thinking that one place that would be really good to go out and meet the community would be during National Night Out, which is, I believe it's like either the first Tuesday or Thursday in August. And I know those are very, very well attended by the community. And working with your city council member or whoever has appointed you to be on this commission, you reach out to them and say, let me be in the car with you to whatever National Night Out events that you're going to, and that you can be with them and be introduced to the community as the review commission, as part of the review commission. And then, so that would be one thing that I would love to see prioritized, National Night Out. That's an easy one. They're already doing that. And then the other one would be for us to reach out to our neighborhood associations and just say during your, whether, I know a number of them meet monthly, or if they meet quarterly, just say, can I come to your neighborhood association just even one time for the first time, just to introduce yourself and say, this is what I do. I am on the police commission, and if you have any questions, because usually the police departments are at those neighborhood association meetings already, but it would be nice to be there in association with them. So that would be the other thing. So those two kind of goes into it with community events, but I thought those are two that would be easy to do right away without trying to go out and find, a table or what I mean, we just don't have the resources to do that. It would be great if we had t-shirts. We don't have that. So.
An idea. Commissioner Gia, please correct me if I say this wrong. Gianoulias.
Right. Did I do that right? Just a couple comments because I've worked in other aspects of my life with community organizations, and I'm going to piggyback what you said. There are events that already exist that are so important and they get so much coverage, and people love to come out, National Night Out. But it'd be great to choose some, and I don't know if you do this, if you've done this regionally or locally in the past, but if you do, it'd be great to just pick a couple and build from that. Start there, pick a couple, whether it be regionally, and just really engage, and then move from there. And then just make it resonate. Outreach just means you care. And it means that people know that you care and you want to be involved. And your presence makes a significant impact to those community groups out there. And I do think it's important.
It's making me think too about how we can make, or the commission can make it easier for other commissioners to go out and do those presentations. So for example, I think like a sample slide deck would be helpful for us. Like if you go to your own, I'm from the Elmhurst neighborhood, right? So if I went to that neighborhood association and did a presentation, is there a sample slide deck that I can use to get me started? And I'm sure that would help all of you too.
I think training will
We, yeah, and we have some slides that we can probably start.
We have our powers and duties,
Yeah.
that are printed out that we can start with.
The other comment, not the last comment, the other comment, in addition, that I just want to emphasize too is thinking about the ad hoc committee structure that we had last year. So I like the idea from Commissioner Corps about figuring out what are 2, 3, no more than 5 priorities ideally, right? Because people can't remember more than 5 things. But what are the buckets that we want to prioritize for this year? And does that make sense? Does it make sense to organize ourselves in ad hocs that get that work done for those priorities? And again, this doesn't have that detail for that, but I think that's something that still needs to get fleshed out for this work plan. Okay, any other comments?
So can we, because I feel like I want to get things done, right? So can we choose 2 or 3 things on this to say that's going to be part of the work plan? Can we say that we're all going to commit to reaching out to our city council members and say we want to participate in August for National Night Out, unless you're on vacation? Or do people say they don't want to do that? I mean, I'm okay if you don't want to do that, but I'm just trying to think of how we can have more community engagement. That's seems to be a theme through this whole 2026 work plan.
Condense this into actionable bullets is what I hear what you're saying is, can we pick some things and then just say that as the chair and vice chair, whoever they are, go work on it, but they at least know from our perspective, if I'm understanding what you're saying, these are the actionable bullets that we actually want to work on versus, this is very broad.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that we can say, okay, National Night Out and reach out to your neighborhood associations. I mean, those are, if anybody else has any other ones, please speak up. But those are 2 that we can really do easily. We can all reach out to our neighborhood associations tomorrow and say, we're here.
Commissioner Giannoulias and followed by Commissioner Lewis.
I think if you look at these, I think a lot of them overlap. So I think you can categorize them and just pull out, because a lot of these, if you categorize that, you're going to do some of these things at each of those, in each of those categories. I know it looks broad, but I think if you choose what you want to do, it just kind of goes with what needs to be done in those areas. Like leaving flyers behind, things like that you do for every aspect of what you're doing, you know?
I think something that we do need to pull out of here, I noticed we mentioned the ad hoc committees. And I think it was last year that we talked about either deciding whether or not we were going to keep the committees, change the committees, whatever else. That definitely needs to be part of the work plan, because I feel like the consensus is that the committees that we have, we need to do the work that we're doing. And so I think that is one line that, apart from the community engagement, we need to discuss what the ad hoc committees are going to be, if we're going to continue them, and that should be part of the work plan.
Your ad hoc committees cannot be continued beyond a year.
Oh, so we have to change them.
Correct.
Like I said, we need to change the names of the ad hoc committees and continue on the work.
So they can be the same committees, they just need to be renewed for the next year. It could be the same people working on the same, it just has to be renewed. Or does it actually have to physically change up members of the committee?
It could be the same people. It's the topic that can't keep running.
Got it.
All right, so I'm just having a moment because I can't keep the same ad hocs that we had last year. I get it. So if I look at this list, here's kind of the buckets I see. I see that there is a community and outreach, which would include the listening sessions in July, the clergy meetings, city council office visits, or maybe that falls into another one, the community events. I feel like that's one bucket. Then policies and procedures, which I think would be getting back to the purpose and whatever plans we have for working with city council on a number of things, as well as our own operating things such as our inbox, email inbox and things like that. So I feel like all of that could go into that bucket. And again, please, I'm just trying to help us clump these together into maybe 3 buckets. The MEU, I feel like that's something that we have to do. That's our bread and butter. So that continues. And then I do believe there are some things from this year that could be, you said we can't do the same topic.
The ad hoc.
Oh, the ad hoc, okay.
Yeah.
Because if it's an issue that still continues, I would say that we still would want to address more aspects of it.
Right.
Okay,
Just, we would work on the naming and scope,
okay.
but yes.
So then that's how I would see us.
Commissioner Sample, just to fall under policies and procedures, or do you envision that being its separate bucket? I don't have an answer, just throwing it out. That's a question. Commissioner Lewis.
Yeah, that was my question, is that the MEU is something we have to do every single year, regardless of everything else. So I guess to the city attorney, if that has fallen under a committee, but can that be a standalone, I don't know if you call it an ad hoc, but it's something that has to be done every year, regardless of what other ad hocs we have. That one we have to do, and there has to be people to work with the police to put together the actual event. So can that be the same every year, or does it have to fall under a different committee every year?
I think you'd have to make a standing committee, right? Is that because by law, for your ad hoc committees, the scope has to expire. But if you want to create a standing committee, the only thing, and I know Jacob's furrowed brow, it is that standing committee becomes a public committee. You will not be able to meet offline. That's the only thing about.
Well, I know, sorry, Jacob Redberg, Office of the City Clerk. Sorry, my apologies for interrupting. What we have seen in other commissions is, in this instance, it would be the 2026 MEU public meetings, right? It's the new year being the different scope of the ad hoc committee. Same thing if you were to make an ad hoc to put together, to kind of finalize your annual report, right? It's the same if you had one in 2025, this is the 2026 annual report. And again, city attorney, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be, the new year would be a different scope.
Thank you, Jacob. That's all I need. I'm good.
I'm glad some of us.
You're right, Jacob. That is another way.
And, to try to answer your question, Commissioner Lewis, I think how we organize ourselves, like, does the MEU committee need to be a separate committee that we put in the work plan, or can it fall under policies and procedures? I think that's up to this commission to figure out how we want to organize ourselves. If we think there's enough for the MEU work, or we want to make sure that there's a committee just focused on MEU policy and also community engagement, just focused on a topic, we can organize ourselves so that we have an ad hoc just focused on that.
I think it would be beneficial to have it simply because, and I don't know if it's been resolved yet, the whole crunching timeline thing, it helps to have people who are just focused on that, because that's something we have to do every year, and then that timeline crunch thing is getting shorter and shorter and shorter until they figure that out. So having people who are just focused on making sure that we have the outreach and the getting people to know and setting it up and all of that, it helps if you have people who are just focused on that, in my opinion.
Just to kind of aid your timing on this, to create ad hocs, the chair just creates them. It doesn't need to be a part of your work plan. It doesn't need to go to PP&E. You don't need to discuss it right now if you don't want to. Once you have your work topics, the chair can create them at any time, at any public meeting. You want to pick your work plan as soon as possible so you can move forward, because it does have to go through PP&E and the council before you can move forward with it, and the MEU will be coming up right after that. So it's probably important to kind of pick something now and move it forward.
Commissioner Sample?
Yes, I think you just kind of started hitting the question that I was going to ask. So what is our timeline with it having to go to Personnel and Public Employees Committee and the council? So what would be our
City
time?
Clerk's office, so the next PNPE meeting is February 24th, so that it wouldn't be able to get on that agenda, that time's already closed. The March meeting is March 24th. And I will note that typically the work plan kind of coincides with the annual report. It's an annual report and work plan together that is brought forward to PNPE. So if this was approved tonight, we would likely hold until we also have the annual report so that all of it can go to PNPE as one.
Got it. Okay.
So what I'm hearing is that it would still require another meeting because we'd still need to approve an annual report in a future meeting. So regardless, we're waiting until March before this is forwarded.
At the very
At the
soonest.
soonest. Okay. I'm going to attempt to make a proposed motion for the group, if that's, are there any other questions before I do that? Questions, comments? Okay. All right, here's my proposed motion. I hope this is appropriate as the chair to make a proposed motion. But what I'm hearing is that okay. I'm going to take the recommended motion and amend it a little bit. But from what I'm hearing, I think what we want to do is approve the draft 2026 Sacramento Community Police Review Commission work plan with the understanding that the chair and vice chair will be making, will be adding details. And the direction is that this work plan should focus on 3 priorities, which is community outreach and visibility as one priority. A second priority is focusing on policies and procedures. And then a third one is making sure that we remain focused on the MEU policy. And with this motion, well, this is what I propose that somebody makes as a motion. Something that I would like to see is that the chair and vice chair, whoever we elect, will be working on this. But I'm also asking if there's any commissioners that want to be part of the drafting of the work plan as part of this motion. Because I think we want to make sure that we have the perspective of other commissioners in the room that I think have good ideas. We want to make sure that they're included in the drafting review of the work plan. Huh?
You need someone to make that motion.
That's my proposed motion, but I'm also, before somebody makes a motion, I'm wondering, are there any commissioners that want to be part of the drafting and at least reviewing the work plan that should be looped in? Not hearing any?
I'll volunteer.
Thank you, Commissioner Sample. All right, so Commissioner Sample is volunteering.
You kept looking down this way.
I don't know why I keep looking over there. Habit. Commissioner Johnson, okay. Thank you. Okay. Do we have a motion, or can I, okay, here's my proposed motion, and then can I ask somebody if they want to make that motion? Is that appropriate?
It's not inappropriate, however, you could just make the motion.
Can the chair make a motion?
Yes, of
Oh,
course.
let me make a motion then. Okay, great. The motion that I'm making is that we approve the draft 2026 commission work plan with the understanding that the chair and vice chair, alongside Commissioner Sample and Commissioner Johnson, will be highlighting 3 priorities within that work plan, which include community outreach and visibility. Priority 2 is going to be policies and procedures, and the 3rd priority within that would be MEU, military equipment use policy. Do we have a second?
Second.
So, motion made by Vice Chair Monrostro, seconded by Commissioner Lewis. Do we have any discussion on this item, on the motion?
Office of the City Clerk, so it's the motion as you laid it out, and is that to then attach that to the commission's annual report? Or just, you're doing this as its own?
I think that's appropriate given the timeline, if that's okay, folks. Can I make a friendly amendment to that motion saying that this will be attached to the annual report? Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Any questions, discussion on the motion? Okay, let's vote via voice vote again. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, hearing the voice vote, I think this motion is approved. Thank you. Appreciate all the feedback and comments from folks, and that was a lot of good thinking from this commission together. Okay, item number 6. This is an item that I rushed to earlier, so I apologize for that. But now, item number 6 is the Sacramento Community Police Review Commission follow-up log. The recommendation for this item is to review, discuss, and pass a motion approving the follow-up log. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Thank you, Chair. I have no speaker slips for item 6.
Okay. And before we get into discussion, I just want to say that after seeing the agenda item, I see that it's still the old follow-up log that we had in previous years. So my recommendation that I'm throwing out there as part of the discussion is that instead of having us approve it today, that we table this for the next meeting so that we can have a proposed follow-up log that we can approve at the next meeting. So that's my recommendation. Are there any commissioner comments on this item? Commissioner Corpse?
I have a question. Say that second part again, that we table this until the next meeting and then for additional stuff for the log? Or
Thank you. Yeah, apologies for not being more clear. So,
I
yeah,
just-
no, my recommendation is that we table this for the next meeting, and that in the agenda, my hope is that we have an actual proposed follow-up log that shows, here's some things that we want to take off the current log, here's things that should remain on the log. I feel like that's what's missing right now from this follow-up log. It has everything that we had from previous years, and I think the goal is to make it so that we have a proposal that we can approve. Because I see some items here that might not be relevant anymore for.
So,
for
because
this year.
I think we were told that it was on this follow-up log, it was items 2, 4, and 10. And I don't know why I had those highlighted, so I'm assuming those were the items. And looking at item 2, 4, and 10, those are all SAC PD accountability, organizational culture. 4 is SAC PD accountability and culture, budget transparency, And then number 10 was accountability and organizational culture again. And all of those fall under training, I think under item 2. Yeah, organizational structure, budget and resource allocation. I mean, I don't know if they fall directly, so I was just going to say, like, would those be discussed during the training then, or am I not understanding that?
So my understanding, the follow-up log is essentially items that we want to put on future meeting agendas. So if it's something that we want to agendize in an actual full commission meeting, then it needs to be in the follow-up log so that it's there.
So even though these will be discussed during that proposed training, if we decide to go forward with that outline, we'd still keep it on the log? I'm okay.
Yeah, I think, if you look at the note, something that could be done is maybe it's kept on the log, but it's noted as this will be covered during a training.
Okay.
As opposed to a full commission meeting. Although, what I'm hearing about the training is that we might do it in a public forum anyway, so it would still be a commission meeting. Okay, seeing no comments, do we need to vote on tabling this item? If we want to move it to the next meeting?
No, no vote is required unless there's any vocal opposition by the commission.
Okay. All right, hearing no opposition, I think we can move on to the next agenda item. Okay. Great. Next agenda item that we have in front of us is the election of chair and vice chair. So for this item, just going to briefly talk a little bit about what this looks like. So as we elect a chair and vice chair, just want to remind folks that, and I'm looking at staff to make sure that I don't say, or that you correct me if I say something that is not completely accurate, but my understanding is that a chair can serve up to 2 years, up to 2 terms for that same role, and a vice chair can serve up to 2 years for that same role. Any commissioner present here can be nominated to serve as chair or vice chair, given those guardrails that I just mentioned. I think that's it for this item. It's a pretty simple item, right? So before we move on to commissioner comments, which will allow you to make nominations, are there any comments from the public?
Thank you, Chair. We have one speaker slip, Mr. Keon Bliss.
Here we come to the thankless role that is left to y'all to figure out who helps to carry the work forward. Because as the city is structured, this body right now, you have no staff support to really take it on this, and you're coming at a time when community members are growing increasingly disenchanted and disillusioned that there is any sort of good faith governance happening from its own city council and city departments, let alone its city boards and commissions, which is why who you're choosing and who runs in this position really matters. I mean, let's be real. Like I've, as somebody that served on this body for 4 years, I can tell you that the reason why there's so little engagement is not only a lack of staff support, but it's actually the continued bad faith engagement from the Sacramento Police Department leadership, from city management, as well as the majority of city council that has allowed hundreds of our recommendations to just mothball on their desks with when they could actually take action and engage with us on this work and done nothing about it. And I think that's, and the public knows that. And we also know who aligns with what and why, like, a lot of us are here. And I mean, it shows in some of the work products and the comments that are made. We know that members of this body have family members in law enforcement. We know that they are on a first-name basis with the Sacramento Police Officers Association, as well as folks who do not care about any sort of data-driven analysis. They're just there to support the police. And also major conflicts of interest in nonprofit work. But that's why.
Comments, your
If you
time
really
is
want to complete. engage the public, you need to really
Thank you for your
show
comments. Your
up,
time is
show
complete.
that
Chair, I have
you're
no more speaker
serious
slips
at
on
them
this item.
And addressing and talking about their
Thank you.
serious issues.
We need to move on with the agenda. So Commissioner, we're going to move on to Commissioner comments. So this would be the time for folks to make comments.
And before we move on to that, I just had one note that I wanted to make as to eligibility for each position, chair and vice chair positions. All members on this dais tonight are eligible to be chair for this calendar year. And Vice Chair Buenrostro, you have served as vice chair for the last 2 years. So as such, you're not eligible to serve as vice chair for another, for this calendar year.
So we'll start, well, any comments before we make nominations? Okay, I guess I'll invite any nominations for chair. Commissioner Johnson?
Would like to nominate our vice chair to be chair for the coming year.
I'm going to decline that nomination. The reason for me declining it is not because I don't want to serve in this role, but I feel like with my time commitments at work and personal life, I don't think I can do the role as I would want to envision it being done. And I also want to focus on just being a good commissioner in general and supporting the commission's work. Commissioner Corbs?
There's nothing we can do to convince you?
Anybody, any nominations?
I was being serious.
No, I'm trying to see if anybody else wants to do it, or,
Maybe
mean,
you can just say that, I mean, it's a 2-year
Yeah.
commitment, but you can say that you would do it for a year.
I thought it was a one-year commitment.
It's a one-year commitment
Oh, it's
for
a-
each
oh,
calendar
okay.
year.
Oh, but you
So-
can do it up to 2 years, but it's a 1-year commitment.
Correct.
Got it.
If I can be transparent with this, right? I mean, I'm just sharing. It's been hard to dedicate the time that I want to make to this commission. My fear is that if I'm the chair, I'm not going to be able to do it justice the way that I wanted to do it. Having said that, coming into this meeting, I came into the meeting assuming that the current chair wasn't a continuous chair and that I wasn't going to be vice chair. So I already came with that mentality until I learned the news today, right? So I hadn't had enough time to think about it. Like Mr. Bliss said in his comments, if I may add, it's one of those roles, and as the previous chairs have said, this is a tough job, right? There's not a lot of staff support, but at the same time, it does require a lot of communication with staff and a lot of communications with police department, a lot of communications with community-based organizations to get the work done. So, I mean, I guess I'm happy to go back on my withdrawal of the nomination and accept it, just so I can continue the work. But I would hope that whoever gets nominated as vice chair is willing to do the work alongside whoever is the chair, if that is the case.
Commissioner Corbs.
I don't think that's.
So I'm glad that you're going to reconsider that. And I think that goes back to when we were looking at the work plan, right? Like, let's not say we're going to look at these 5 things, maybe choose MEU and then one other thing. I just say to make it simple for this year, so it's not so much work. And then, of course, the training, which I guess is part of the work plan too, onboarding and training, but don't have so many different items. Although I know we've already designated the 3 buckets along with the MEU is part of that and then the training, but
Thank you. Now,
make it lighter for your load.
yes. Now, I did say that I'm willing to accept the nomination, but I do want to throw it back to this commission. Is there anybody else that is interested in serving as chair? I wouldn't see it as you trying to have me not be chair, but is there anybody else that is interested in serving in this role that this commission should consider?
I ask that maybe we consider Commissioner Sample as the chair.
Or vice chair.
Commissioner Sample, do you accept the nomination for chair?
Yeah, I'll accept it.
Great. So with that, I sustain my, well, I go back again, and I apologize for that being clear. I do not accept the nomination. Commissioner Sample has accepted the nomination of chair. Any other nominations for chair? Okay, hearing none, I think we can move to elect Commissioner Sample as chair. And I think we can do this by a voice vote again. All those in favor of electing Commissioner Sample as,
We do need a second, so with that nomination, the nomination of Member Sample by Member Johnson would be considered the motion, and we will need a second.
I second that.
I heard Commissioner Griggs first, so I'm going to say Commissioner Griggs seconded. I wanted to second it too, but I didn't get to do it. Okay. All those in favor of electing Commissioner Sample as chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, hearing only ayes, no nays, and no abstentions. Commissioner Sample has been elected as chair. Congratulations. All right, any nominations for vice chair? Commissioner Sample?
I'd like to nominate Commissioner John Johnson.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson has been nominated. Do you accept the nomination?
I accept.
Okay. Any other?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any other nominations for vice chair? I was going to nominate Commissioner Lewis.
Yes, yes.
Being that Commissioner Johnson has accepted,
Okay, great.
I will decline.
That is fantastic. Okay. Any other nominations? I feel like I have to say any other nominations just to make sure that. Okay. Seeing no other nominations, we have a nomination by Commissioner Sample, a second by Commissioner Corbs. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Y'all are good. Y'all are good.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, congratulations, Commissioner Johnson. You are now the vice chair. I think that turned out really well. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Yes.
I just want to thank Vice Chair Gwen Rostro for his time and commitment this year. And I think we were all shocked to hear that you weren't going to, be the chair of this commission. So I'm glad it worked out the way that it did, but I just want to thank you for what you have done in 2025, and for the chair, Kim, for her work this year as well.
Thank you. And I think we have elected two great individuals to lead this commission moving forward. And something that I'll just add to it is I'm happy to help with the drafting of the work plan, happy to help with any other work that you're doing, but yeah, if you need any of my help with writing, that's what I'm happy to do, and organizing the work plan. Okay, that is the last agenda item. We're going to move on to staff and commissioner comments, ideas, and questions. I will make a quick comment, if appropriate. I'll be quick. I do want to thank the Sacramento Police Department, specifically Sergeant Cabrera, for scheduling a ride-along about 2 weekends ago with an officer in the police department. I was able to watch the work of a police officer around Stockton Boulevard. And what I have to say is that although it was a shift that was relatively calm, I did see positive community engagement. I saw positive conversations with community members. I saw a situation where the officers supported with a community situation that happened and helped an individual that needed help. I don't want to say more because I don't think I want to say more about specific instances, but I do encourage commissioners to participate in a ride-along. There's also the option to do it with your council member, which my council member reminded me I could do in the future. And I look forward to doing this again in the future. I think the more that we understand the role of our police department, the more we understand what they go through. At the same time, the more we understand the concerns of the community members. So I think it's important for us to be able to get that on-the-ground experience. So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you again for scheduling that as a department and making that opportunity available for folks. Any other comments?
Not a question, but just again, a word of appreciation to both our chair as well as our vice chair. Just, I think this is a lot of work, and I know you guys have done so much behind the scenes, and so just really appreciate and looking forward to continuing the work together.
Comments? Seeing no other comments, I think we can move to adjourn. So how do I adjourn a meeting? Okay. Well, I think that's the last item. So with that, I adjourn this meeting of the Sacramento Community Police Review Commission. Thank you for your participation.